Serena welcomes former rival, forever friend Sharapova into Tennis Hall of Fame. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. From rivals to legends, Serena Williams welcomes Sharapova into the Tennis Hall of Fame. The hall was quiet, at first. Light spilled across the wooden floor of the International Tennis Hall of Fame in Newport, Rhode Island, glinting off trophies that had seen battles waged on courts from Melbourne to Madrid. Murmurs filled the air, whispers of legacy and greatness. But when Serena Williams walked onto the stage in a flowing white gown, the quiet melted into thunderous applause. She wasn't here tonight to accept an award. She was here for something perhaps even more meaningful. To welcome her greatest rival. To welcome her oldest friend. To welcome Maria Sharapova into eternity. Act 1. Fire and Ice. It was never supposed to end like this, not with warm embraces, knowing smiles, or late-night toasts over champagne. Once, they had circled each other like planets in opposition. Serena, all fiery will and raw athleticism, and Maria, the icy prodigy with elegance carved into every forehand. Their rivalry was born in the summer of 2004, when a 17-year-old Sharapova stunned the tennis world, and Serena herself, by beating the defending champion in the Wimbledon final. That day, the torch was supposed to pass. But Serena never let it go. From that moment on, they waged a cold war on and off the court. Fans took sides. Commentators dissected their glares. Every handshake at the net was a headline. Yet behind the frosty press conferences and competitive tension, there was always something deeper simmering between them. Respect, curiosity, even admiration. "It's funny," Serena said on stage, standing beside the newly inducted Sharapova. "People always wanted us to hate each other. Maybe we did, a little, but they never let us be anything else." She turned to Maria, her voice softening. "But you were always the rival that made me better. And in the end, you became the friend I never expected." Act 2. Years that harden, years that heal. The rivalry was lopsided, statistically. Serena beat Sharapova 20 times after that fateful Wimbledon final. But every match still felt like a story. Sharapova's grit against Serena's thunder, ice against fire. And when Sharapova retired in 2020, their on-court battles were frozen in time. Yet something unexpected happened in retirement. The tension thawed. It started with a text, then a call, then coffee in Miami. No cameras. No rackets. Just two women who had spent their youth locked in combat, now discovering the humanity behind the brand. "I didn't know how much I needed those conversations," Maria said during her induction speech. "There was so much that tennis didn't let us say. When we were young, it was all about being stronger, tougher, colder. But Serena and we finally started talking like women, not warriors." They exchanged stories not of trophies, but of motherhood. They talked about business ventures, injuries, insecurities. They laughed at the absurdity of old tabloid headlines. They cried, sometimes over losses, but more often over how misunderstood they both felt by the outside world. "I think we were both lonely in our own way," Serena admitted. "And maybe rivalry is a kind of mirror. You see yourself in your opponent more than you ever realize." Act 3. The night that time stood still. August 25, 2025. A night carved into tennis history. Sharapova stood on the podium in a sleek black dress, her speech poised, but her voice trembling just enough to let the emotion show. "I remember being 7 years old in Sochi, watching Serena win her first slam. I taped it on VHS. I rewound it until the tape wore out," she said. "She showed me what power looked like. She showed me what presence was." Then, pausing, she turned to Serena. "And when I stood across the net from you at Wimbledon, I didn't just want to beat you. I wanted to be like you." Serena smiled, a tear catching in the corner of her eye. She wasn't one to cry easily in public. But this was different. This wasn't a match. This was the finish line. Together. As Sharapova finished her speech, the audience rose in a standing ovation. Billie Jean King, Martina Navratilova, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Venus, beaming in the front row. And then Serena stepped forward, cradling the Hall of Fame medallion in her hand like a jewel. "Maria," she said, voice rich with meaning, "you were my greatest rival. And now, you're my forever friend." She placed the medallion over Sharapova's neck. For a moment, they stood there, arms around each other. No rackets, no scoreboards, no headlines, just two legends, finally at peace. Epilogue, more than numbers. History will always tell the story in numbers. 23 Grand Slams. 5 Grand Slams. Head-to-heads. Percentages. Millions earned. Millions inspired. But tonight wasn't about numbers. It was about grace. Growth. The long, winding arc of competition that bends, if we're lucky, toward understanding. Serena and Maria taught us that greatness isn't just forged in victory. Sometimes it's forged in vulnerability, forgiveness, and the unexpected evolution of respect. As they walked off the stage, hand in hand, the crowd burst into one final roar. Not for Serena, not for Maria, but for the story they wrote together, and the one they continue to live. Tennis gave us the battle, Sharapova said, but time gave us the friendship. And on this night, both were immortal. Thanks for watching.